Hello and welcome along to another episode of this FM22 story, The Head Coach with me, Daniel. We're back today for part 54 and I think the honeymoon is finally over. We're back for Leicester City, a big game in the Premier League. One of those sides looking to chase us in the middle pack, and then it's transfer deadline day. There has been a little bit of action already, but it's not helped us on the pitch. We've had injuries, we've had problems, and we're just starting to get found out. But thankfully, I think our start will ultimately keep us up. So if you're looking forward to finding out how we get on, whether there's any more magic before the end of the window, please do put a thumbs up on the video. Subscribe down below for daily FM22 content from two long-term stories. I've got to say, the Leicester side we faced today, managed by David Artell, who started this save as the crew manager, had finished his playing career at Bala and Port Talbot in Wales, and has gone via Blackburn in the Championship. We've got a remarkably similar career path, actually. Just we've done it over a couple less years. So let's go and get cracking with it. You can find anything you've missed in the eye above. We've got a big end of season review, followed by a transfer special in the Hemel save. But here, we've got to just get ourselves over the line, get to that 40 points, then we can relax and enjoy the season. So as you can see, things haven't been going too well, but we have got a couple of new faces to introduce. So Dougie Freedman has decided that in this transfer window, we are incredibly weak in central midfield areas. Now, lots of young players have agreed to leave the club, and we have also got a new element of the head coach from this year's staff meeting introductions that we've got to discuss. But it looks like Mariki's going to be going in the summer, Rodney and Campos are as well. Those two weren't really near the first team, neither was Mariki in fact, but we have had a few players come in already. So no one out so far this window, 4 players in, 2 of them first teamers. They are, the first one I was delighted with by the way, Gaetano Castrovilli from AC Milan, £7.25 million. Yes, he's 30 years of age now, but he's an Italian international. He's a very good midfielder and he probably slightly strengthens us. So I was delighted with this. We're talking about a man whose last 2 clubs were Milan and Real Madrid, and there is absolutely nothing wrong with us signing him. And so far, he's done very well. He had a dream debut, which we'll discuss in a moment. However, the second one then baffled me a bit, because we spent 16 million, or Dougie Freedman spent 16 million, on a 31-year-old Tanguy Ndombele, who is a good player. He's a solid addition to the squad. But why on earth he's been added for double the amount of money at an older age when he's not as good, I don't know. So he's going to be a rotation option. He'll do a job for us, he's alright, but he's not really the signing I wanted to see 2/3 of the budget go on. What that means coming up to deadline day is there's only 5 million left in the tank, a little bit of wages of course, which is fine, but not a lot of money in the club's bank balance. So there's sort of a reliance on us to get a decent position here. And I'm not sure that's going to happen given recent form. There's one more bit of news on the players in and out front, which we'll talk about in a second. But let's start by having a look at the schedule. Because you were last with me over the festive period as we faced Newcastle and West Brom. We then bounced back rather ridiculously. I mean, the stupidity continued. We beat Liverpool at home. Morcio put in a goal in the 92nd minute when we were trying to time waste. And he just ran down the other end and put an absolute screamer in. We then threw away the Southampton tie, to be honest. We had so many injuries, so many players out, that I just thought, let's reset, get Premier League safety. And of course, at that point, we had an outside chance of Europe. We then beat Manchester United 2-0 at Old Trafford. Again, we tried to shore things up with an hour gone. Castrovilli came on to sort of shore up the midfield. He then scored what would have been the winner. And then John Morcio run down in the 92nd minute, and for the second league game in a row, scored a screamer. Now, it's got to be said that Kamil Krabara produced the best goalkeeping performance I've ever seen in that game. I think he made 11 saves, including a couple of gilt-edge one-on-ones. But really, the stupid form continued. At that point, we'd lost 3 Premier League games out of, I think, 14 in charge. It has come back down to earth a little now, though. A defeat against Arsenal where we tried to rotate a few. Tyrese Campbell did put us ahead, but Tomiyasu from set pieces, the star man. And in a disappointing 1-0 defeat at home to a Burnley side who are pretty good in truth. So there's no shame in that one whatsoever. But realistically, we've got to almost 40 points. We'd have bitten your hand off for this when we joined the club. And I'm really pleased that we've virtually secured Premier League survival. My worry is, with us coming into a poor run now, is February is the month I'd look to wrap up some of those points. Watford at home, Wolves at home, who we battered in our first game in charge. You remember that one a few episodes ago. And Brighton away, who are a mid-table team. So really that is where our points are, because we face some good sides later in the season. But maybe that's a good thing. Look at our record against the likes of Newcastle, Liverpool, Man United. Maybe we step up to the big occasion. So overall, really pleased, but signs that the honeymoon might just be over. With this one though, you may have noticed a new face off the bench, or a returning face off the bench. That man, Chris Tipple, who was on loan at Leeds. And this brings up an interesting dilemma for this year's FM that we've never had in a head coach before, because we attend our bi-weekly staff meetings that we set here, and we get advice of which players should be transfer listed and loan listed, which players perhaps should be recalled from loans, which players we should look at developing, moving up squads, moving down squads. And because I don't feel we have any say in transfer staffing or contracts, even though it's not the director of football saying it, I feel we have to accept it. So at the start of January, we got the message to recall Campos, who you saw on the players leaving in the summer, because they thought there was interest and we might get a transfer fee, which as it happens didn't transpire. And to recall Chris Tipple, because he'd had a little knock at Leeds and he looked like he was developing well, and he is. He's almost as good as Tyrese Campbell at 21 years of age. So he's going to get some Premier League football the second half of this season. But it's an interesting part because we've never had that in a head coach before, as well as the director of football doing their deals, the head of youth development doing their stuff with the 23 and 18 squads. We've also then got the coaching team saying, actually, you need to get this player back. We've got a loan manager saying, hang on, he's at Leeds, he's better than what we've got, go and get him back. So there's some really interesting elements of the head coach this year. It's one of the reasons I was looking forward to the staff meeting so much. And it has delivered for me in that sense, albeit in the Campos one, it backfired slightly. But let's go and get ahead to kick off this afternoon. We'll play Leicester very quickly, and then it's the deadline day. I can't imagine Dougie doing much because he's wasted most of it on Ndombele, but you never know. Maybe there's a bid for someone to go out. Well then, fitness test time, and one of the big issues this month for our downturn in form is that we just can't keep Selly and Boyer fit. It's been an issue for a little while now. Abdul Qadir is out too, that certainly isn't going to help our chances. And if Burnley get a result against Arsenal, if Leicester beat us, we then start to look at the bottom half. But either way, as long as we're 17th or above, we've done the job we need to. Let's get the opposition instructions on. Some good players there. Stillan, Didi, Barnes, both at the club. Odson Edouard amongst the attacking ranks too. But let's see what side we can put out. Well, I think with the exception of Abdul Qadir on the right, we have got our strongest squad out now. Castrovilli comes in the middle, Morcio on the right. But otherwise, it's the side you know very well. Grabara between the sticks, been amazing in some of the big games. Tete and Mitchell, the fullbacks, with Mepham and Tormena at centre-half. To Hart, Boyer, Castrovilli, the midfield three. I'm really worried about that tomorrow. If Spurs come in and exercise the release clause for Boyer. 76 million, yes, but no time for replacements. Although, maybe that's why Ndombele was signed as well, we'll see. Morcio, Lanes and Tyrese Campbell the front three. Chris Tipple amongst the substitutes. And beyond the squad, it's basically just promoted 23s and a couple of injured players. Let's go and get into it though. Hopefully we can get a result. Stop the rot. Well, a couple of other familiar names still in the Leicester squad. On the bench, we've got James Justin, James Maddison. In the starting 11, we've got Yuri Tielemans still there too. There's Matty Cash from Villa at the start of the game. I'm sure Vegas, a centre-half we had at Spurs briefly last year, if I've remembered rightly. And Evgen on the bench we definitely had at Southampton. So it is a list of familiar names from the head coach or from Leicester City. Let's go and crack on with the first half though. We want the lads to prove a point. They've had a couple of poor performances and we want to get back to our best. The first goal is crucial because if we lose it, I'd imagine we're going to go on a poor little run. We might concede 2 or 3. Same lineup that lost to Burnley. Let's see if they respond. 9 minutes on the clock. We've got a corner kick with Lanes. Outswinging delivery. Just over the bar with a header. That could have been the perfect start. But in terms of the stats, aside from not having much possession, we look alright. Let's hope we can find the first goal. Well, 24 minutes on the clock. Tielemans picking the ball up in midfield. It's the first attacking highlight we're seeing for Leicester. As they get it into the box, it's a great challenge. Mepham does really well there to get a foot in. It's a corner kick. We've not looked too bad on the stats apart from possession, to be honest. We've not had much of the ball, but we have had a threat. What we don't want to do is concede first. Barnes gets to the byline though. In towards Edouard. Tormena heads away. Excellent work. But it's a succession of Leicester City crosses at the minute. And Ndidi finds Tielemans to Szymanski. Back to Ndidi again and Vegas. But we force them out. It's excellent work. And as you can see, we're competing all right here. Though it's Leicester down the left again. And are we going to regret not taking early chances as Morcio finds Tahar? I mean, they can't have been that clear cut because we didn't get a highlight, but we have here as Campbell works down the right on the break. Doesn't often get forced this wide. Cuts it into Morcio though. Finds Telly and Boyer. He's not been fit much recently, but my word, he's still a great player when he is. What a finish from him. And ideally, it's probably not the day I'd want him to be great, because that might just force Tottenham's hand in terms of releasing his transfer clause. But for now, it's 1-0 Crystal Palace, and we're only 3 points from the 40 mark if we hold on. But with 2 minutes to the break, it's Leicester on the front foot again. Angelino on the left-back area, playing it with Ndidi and Edouard, but not really coming forward yet. Tielemans changes that though. Finds Odsonne Edouard, who goes wide to Matty Cash at right-back. Down the line to Szymanski. Mitchell chases him all the way. Can he stop the cross though? He does. He forces it back and Lanez intercepts. He can counter. He's absolutely skinned his man. Cash thinks about bringing him down, but he's on a yellow. I think Lanez was trying to get him to. Delivers a great ball in the end. And Morcio's shot is blocked off the line. Wonderful first half performance. And we look like bouncing back after 2 really poor displays. Well, 20 minutes left on the clock. I was about to make the changes. We were managing the game well, but now it's a highlight. And we all know my superstition. Though Maddison has just played it back 60 yards, the sub. Vegas just gets there and goes back to his keeper. And now it's into Youri Tielemans. That's a lovely ball. Edouard goes wide. He's got an overlap. Plays up to his centre forward instead. Great ball for Martins. And that's a stunning save, Grabara. Continues his wonderful form for us this season. But we've still got to defend the set piece as it's an in-swinging delivery from Angelino. Campbell heads it away really well. They're going to get there first, Leicester, but are they going to make a second wave of attack? They're not, so let's go and make our changes. Castrovilli not quite match fit yet, so I'm just giving him an hour and then Ndombele a few minutes. We're also going to bring off Tyrese Campbell. Chris Tipple will get a go up front because Campbell's not looked great in the new year. And then ideally I'd like to make a change at right back, but the worst player is Tyrick Mitchell and the best sub is at left back. So Teo comes on 16 plus stoppage time. Fingers crossed. This would be a massive result. And again, one I can't explain. 7 minutes to go and we're picking the ball up on the counter with Chris Tipple. Our first chance to see him and Ndombele's released him. Might be a great one too. Just wide of the post. He probably should have scored it. Lovely composure from Ndombele, who's already into the sevens to substitute. Maybe I've judged him too early or based on real life recently, because he is a very good footballer still. As Grabara gets it into Mepham and Tahar. If anything, we still look the stronger here with 4 to go. Tipple plays it to Boyer. Great ball for Lanez. Lanez shot straight at the keeper. Kovacevic saves it. It's a wonderful move, and we look a really good team. Just got to cling on for stoppage time. There's only 2 minutes of it, and I think we're getting back to winning ways. We always seem to deliver on camera. Leicester 0, Crystal Palace 1, and that was thoroughly deserved. 2 straight defeats, the rot is ended, and we are back with a bang. 37 points, now to transfer deadline day. Transfer deadline day is here. We're going to take part. I'm not expecting much. There's links with Lissandro Martinez, a centre-half at West Ham, one at Augsburg too, but both for more money than we've got left. So unless Teo or Russell Henry leave the club, which are in the linked outs, Teo's a possibility, by the way. I don't think there'll be much happening. But Dougie Freedman, it's over to you. We've had 2 official new signings for the first team. Tipple's almost like a third. Are we going to get number 4? Let's skip ahead and find out. First bid of the day is Russell Henry, who is a youngster in our under-23s, who's pretty good. But he's a bit more of a target man, which doesn't really suit us. And he's nowhere near ready for the first team. Came after leaving Manchester City. It was 3.2 million plus a sell-on. But it's been rejected by Dougie Freedman. He's done that all month, to be honest with you. Whether he gets a big enough offer today, we'll wait and find out. 14 hours to go. More offers coming in. Bournemouth for McPherson, who is an 18-year-old attacking midfielder who's not great. £1 million plus a sell-on, but rejected. Leeds in for Hendry. That was even less than the Sheffield United one, so no surprises. That's rejected. And also for Brian Jarvis, an 18-year-old winger. 750 grand with an appearance clause and a profit of next sale, but all rejected. Looks like Dougie Freedman's playing hardball. Well, Russell Henry has come to complain. I'm going to ask Dougie Freedman to chat to him. Another offer for Jarvis from Leeds, this one again rejected. An offer for Kemar Codrington, who is a young left wing back who doesn't look very good at all. I mean, I certainly would have taken that offer with the sell-on clause and £1 million, but it's not our decision at the end of the day. We've got 12 hours to go. Looks like it's going to be outs rather than ins that are the focus of today's action. Well, we've got a sign-in. It's only an under-23 one, so not something we're going to be looking at immediately. But 3-star potential is not the worst in the world. I don't know why it's saying 3-star potential and then League 2 standard, but no, he's not very good. But we've seen before, players can develop from Bangor City's academy. We know that very well from our Builder Nation last year. Lovely to have a little bit of a reunion with the club, even if it is just nicking one of their players. How much did we pay them? Oh, nothing. Oh dear. I should feel a bit guilty about that, shouldn't I? Well, hello. This might help the prospect of getting somebody in. We have got a sell-on clause, which means we've just received £1.5 million for Rid van Yilmaz leaving Burnley for Leeds for 20 million quid. He's a very good player as well. There's also an extra 1.2 million in instalments. That's lovely. Besiktas got a bit of money too. Another offer for Hendry's been rejected. We've got 10 hours left. Well, we didn't even pass an hour this time, but Mariki has agreed a deal to join Cagliari for $33,000 in the summer. I wish that the director of football could utilise the sell now. They seem to do it with the buy now occasionally, but not the sale. We've got a big offer though for Adaramola, the left back Teo. It's been rejected. It was £21 million plus a sell on. He's now going to have a chat with Dougie Freedman. We could have a very unhappy squad by the end of the day. A further offer for Teo with 8 hours to go. They're testing Dougie now. £26.5 million plus a sell on. Apparently he wants to go to Ajax or Newcastle. Both of them yet to make a bid. This one could go to the wire. 6 hours left, and on the face of it, we've seen something very weird. But given the age at the start of the save, this can't quite be right. Offer made for Kazim Richards, and it's Gary Issett, so it might be a son for the head of youth development. Jordan Kazim Richards, half a star ability, 2.5 potential. I don't think there's going to be any relation, no. Just happens to be the surname. Not a very good player. No idea, even for the 23s, why he's signing him. Do we have confidence in Dougie Freedman? Well, there's 6 hours to go, and I don't think so. But if he keeps Boyer, he's done his job. 5 hours left. More offers for Hendry. Both of them. No, one's been accepted. We have got an offer accepted from Sheffield United, which is 4.3 million plus a 30% sell on. So he has finally relented. He's rejected another one for Jarvis, though. There are 5 hours to go, and it looks like we're about to have another out. Russell Henry has gone to Sheffield United, who have got a 40% sell-on clause with Manchester City, so we're not going to get all of that money. But with 4 hours left, it looks like that's going to be the end of the action. We'll be back if anything changes. 1 hour to go, a late flurry of activity. So we've got offers for a new player, both of them rejected. And it's another target man, a young striker. Brian Jarvis, both rejected. Codrington, rejected. So definitely the end of our business. Well, I take that back. Rather annoyingly, Glenn Fitzgerald, one of the youngsters we'd promoted to the first team and was doing really well, improving and playing a bit, has been sent on loan to Fleetwood. He's agreed that with 45 minutes left. And we're now one first team player short. No backup right back. But the transfer window is now closed, and overall, it's not been a bad one. We lost the young striker. We annoyingly lost Fitzgerald. I could have done without that. But Castrovilli and Ndombele in. We're a little overloaded in midfield now that Boyer stayed as well, but it's better to have a stronger squad than a weaker one. Our wage bill is the 17th highest in the league, so we should be right down there. We're overachieving, and crucially in this episode, we got back to winning ways after a 2-game winless streak. We're going to show 2 more episodes this season. I think we'll do the last 2 games with Southampton and Newcastle, and I'll come back somewhere in between. So we'll either do City and Everton before the international break, or Spurs and Chelsea after. Probably depend on when we're going to get our youth intake. We'll wait and see how that goes. But if you did enjoy this episode, a really crucial win against Leicester. Again, we're still in brilliant form. It's 12 wins out of 18 now in all competitions, and I don't quite know how to explain it. Without the cup to focus on, maybe we can get in a top half. Maybe we will lose form. We'll wait and see. If you want to stay up to date and find out, subscribe down below and turn that notification bell on. Let me know what you thought of the performance of deadline day and how we're managing to have such an impact at Palace. Because I've said it many times, it's the first club I really don't have the reason behind it. There's no indicators in the squad that suggest we should be brilliant. we just seem to have stumbled on a fantastic run without really doing a great deal to make it happen. We'll be back in 2 days' time to see if we can keep it up, but in the meantime, you can find the Hemel Hempstead season review tomorrow. The link to that playlist is in the eye above, as well as the Twitch channel for live streams, the football podcast for regular content, and much more up there too. But thank you very much for watching, for joining along as always. A quiet deadline day, but a pretty effective one, and a transfer window has left us in good shape. I'll see you next time to find out if we can continue to do well.